That was a scrappy win, guys, right? It's safe to say that the Reds have put in an underwhelming performance, perhaps even a worse one than our Nottingham Forest loss at Anfield. Still, we managed to get out of the Molineux Stadium with the full 3 points, putting us atop of the league with 15 points, one more point than City and Arsenal. Now guys, you know how we like to keep things optimistic here at Panenka, which is why we think that getting the win, even after a dodgy performance, is a great sign of the team's mentality and our ability to get unscathed even in our worst days. However, that won't stop us from discussing where the Reds have lacked during the game and highlight some crucial points that Arne Slot will need to address in order to have the best possible season we can have. So from what the Reds did well in our 2-1 win to exactly what went wrong, hit that like and subscribe button and let's jump straight into our analysis. After some heavy rotations in the EFL Cup against West Ham United, Alisson fully recovering and with Darwin Núñez out of the squad due to illness, Arne Slot returned to the same exact first 11 he used in all of our games prior to the Bournemouth match. The Brazilian returned between the sticks with the same back line of Andy Robertson, Virgil van Dijk, Ibrahima Konate and Trent Alexander-Arnold starting the match. The midfield was also unchanged with all of Ryan Gravenberch, Alexis Mac Allister and Dominic Szoboszlai with the front line consisting of Luis Diaz, Diogo Jota and Mo Salah. Now it's safe to say that the Reds have started the game poorly, same as the recent matches against Bournemouth and AC Milan. However, the issues both in and out of possession persisted for longer periods this time. As you can see here, we used a 4-1 build-up shape with Gravenberch being the lone number 6 in the midfield. Now sure, this structure wasn't 100% rigid, as of all of Trent, Mac Allister and Szoboszlai joined the Dutchman at times to form the double pivot. But we're going to focus on the 4-1 shape because it was the structure that we used for the majority of the match. See, with Wolves deploying a 4-2-3-1 narrow block out of possession, they created a numerical overload in the middle of the park, denying us the possibility to progress the ball centrally. This was even made harder with João Gomez tightly marking Gravenberch and both Lamina and Andreas sticking to our number 8, Mac Allister and Szoboszlai. Even when Diogo Jota dropped deep from the number 9 position to provide a passing option and create space for the 8s to attack, he was still closely marked by a Wolves defender who even followed him to our own half. This forced us to go wide rather than slowly progressing the ball through the middle. But the problem here was that Wolves were still setting up traps for when we played the ball wide, making the jumps onto Trent and Robertson while tightly marking the 8s to deny us the chance to play up, back and through pattern. Making the jumps on Trent and Robertson while tightly marking the 8s to deny us the chance to play the up, back and through pattern. This is why Liverpool took a more direct approach to launching long balls towards Diaz and Salah with the aim to bypass Wolves' pressing line. You can see here on our clusters of progressive passes attempted how focused our progression was on wide areas compared to the middle of the park. This targeting of wide areas created another issue when we had settled possession in the middle third. See, with Salah dropping deep and Trent making underlapping runs, this made us vulnerable to transitions on the right hand side, especially when the long ball wasn't accurate or after the opposition winning their tackles. You can see here the space Wolves had once they turned the ball over in the exact same sequence when Trent pushed forward. And if it wasn't for Konate closing down quickly, it would have been a dangerous situation for the opposition. Now speaking of Konate, how vital has the Frenchman been for us lately? Sure, he was caught off guard for the Wolves goal, which could have been costly. However, his overall performance was very solid, finishing the game with pass completion rate of 88% and winning 4 out of his 6 aerial duels. And we all saw he grabbed our first goal in the closing minutes of the first half. Now we have a dedicated deep dive video for Konate coming out tomorrow, so make sure you do hit that notification bell so you don't miss the video. Now going back to the game, did you know that we had our first shot on target 32 minutes into the match? And that was the free kick that Mac Allister won around the edge of the Wolves area. This shows how difficult it was to have ball possession in the final third and create chances. But that doesn't mean we didn't create anything in the first half. In fact, we accumulated 1.07 xG over the course of the first half, and believe it or not, 0.75 xG were wasted in the Szoboszlai chance. A chance that was created after Liverpool's pressing structure saw some significant improvement compared to their first half an hour. See, Wolves found it easy to play through our pressing lines, which is kind of an odd statement to say when talking about Liverpool, right? So let us explain. As usual, Liverpool set up in a 4-2-4 higher mid blocks to counter Wolves' 3-2 build-up shape. However, both Diogo Jota and Dominik Szoboszlai made rush jumps onto the ball, which affected the way they shadow-marked Wolves' double pivot and opened up passing lanes for the centre-backs and even the goalkeeper. And with Gravenberch and McAllister also misjudging the timing of their jumps, it allowed the opposition to play bounce passes through the pivots and progress the ball slowly through the phases. Not only that, Wolves were also capable of switching the play to Ait-Nouri on the left, which also helped them bypass our initial line of pressing. In fact, Wolves' left-hand side, where Mo Salah covered the space of possession, was their most efficient area of progressing the ball. Now, we're not saying that Mo Salah is solely responsible for this, but this movement and positioning at times gave Wolves players to play forward passes easily, breaking our structure and progressing the ball higher. You can see that the bulk of their successful forward passes came from the right-hand side, which raises the question, is this a one-off game, or is Mo Salah starting to be affected physically? We'll leave that for you to debate in the comments, guys, so let me know your thoughts. Now, as we said earlier, that Szoboszlai's chance came after a slight improvement in our pressing shape. You can see here with Trent pushing high, we created an overload in Wolves' left-hand side, forcing them to go long where McAllister was ready to intercept the ball. And after a series of passes from side to side, Van Dijk split Wolves' block in half with a pass to Robertson, who would have got the assist if Szoboszlai put the ball in the net. Still, we were lucky enough to draw first blood with that Konate header. That, by the way, wouldn't have been possible if not for Diogo Jota bringing back the winger version of himself after pulling that great assist off. But before we get into Jota's contribution, we need to briefly talk about the goal we conceded because it highlights the issue with our out of possession structure. See, once Lamina knocked the ball past Szoboszlai, there was covering midfielders to at least halt the opposition's attack, which is, as much as we hate to say it, kind of similar to what Man United's last season when they had massive gaps in the midfield. Thankfully, we have two excellent centre-backs who can save the day when that happens. Now, going back to Jota, seriously, every time people start to criticise the Portuguese, he still manages to respond quickly, and after a double in the Cup against West Ham, he returned yesterday to provide 2 assists, and the first was with that cross, and the second was after winning the penalty straight after we conceded. But it didn't end there. Jota got into 7 ground duels, which he won 3 and 5 aerials, from which he won 2. Not only was he vital in the final third, but the fiery Portuguese put in a shift defensively, even soaking up pressure in the closing stages of the game by dropping deep and winning a foul close to our area. Now, I believe our next selection has become a bit repetitive in recent weeks, so we'll keep it short. Ryan Gravenberch has won another Man of the Match award. That's it, that's the section. Joking aside, the Dutchman has yet again put in a solid performance, 8 out of 8 duels won, 6 possession gain, 3 out of 3 successful tackles. It was yet another impressive showing from the young midfielder. Now, if you want to learn how Gravenberch has improved this season, make sure you check out our recent video we posted about the player highlighting his massive defensive output so far this season. Again, it was a scrappy win that we managed to get and the performance that shed light on some issues Arne Slot will need to address sooner rather than later. The inability through the middle might be due to the lack of controlling type of midfielder, but the way that we conceded so many transitions and had glaring distances between the pressing lines needs to be fixed as soon as possible. Otherwise, teams might start to focus on their weaknesses, which will cost us in the coming matches. So now with our next game at home against Italian side Bologna, who lost key players like Calafiori and Xerxes, do you believe that Slot should still rotate like the West Ham game? Keep in mind that we still have a visit 3 days later to Selhurst Park where we face Crystal Palace. Let us know your thoughts on everything down there in the comment section below, and if you enjoyed today's video, why not hit the like and subscribe button for more Liverpool deep dives. Thank you, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Peace.